Okay, we'll call the meeting to order.
Hold on. Go ahead. Let's just go.
Pardon? Oh, thanks.
Okay, now you can, I mean, when she tells you to. Okay, that was it.
We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the March 24th, 2026 meeting of the Johnson County Board of Zoning Appeals. I'll start with a roll call. I am Chris Campbell, Mr. Canary here, Mr. Gray
Here.
Mr. Taylor
Here.
and Mr. Meyer.
Here.
And obviously, Mr. Hoffman is not here. Then we have Mr. Meyer as alternate. All the members have been mailed a copy of the January 27th, 2026 minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of the January 27th meeting.
It's been moved to approve the minutes from January 27. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it's approved. On our public hearings, we have no continued petitions. One new petition, V-2-26. And with that, I'll turn it over to staff.
And I apologize, I do not have a PowerPoint up and running yet. There is still such a thing as blue screen of death. This FYI, and I'm trying to work through it. V-2-26, which is the address at 956 Stones Road, Greenwood. The petitioner is Town of Bargersville, represented by Strain Associates. They have a variance of use request from the Unified Development Ordinance to allow for a drinking water treatment plant in an SR single family residential zoning district. The property is 4.82 acres in size, is zoned SR and is approved with a residential home and two additional structure. The property is surrounded by residential lot used residentially. However, on the north side of Smith Valley Road is the current Bargersville water treatment plant and wellheads. As explained, they are requesting a use variance to seek approval to for the Bargersville Water Department to develop a new water treatment facility on the subject 4.7 acres tract. The proposed facility is intended to replace the aging plant located directly across the street. The existing plant is severely constrained by size, age, and designated flood area and floodway on that side of the property, which has prevented them from any new construction or modernizing the utility footprint on that side. To maintain the operations continuity, the petitioners propose to construct a new treatment plant on the expansion site across the street while retaining the existing storage tanks and wellheads on their current location. The detailed plan of operation is provided to you in the staff report, along with a proposed site plan. Again, as the description of the use, the drinking water treatment plant. They will be operating from, they have 2 shifts a day, 365 days a year. They typically have 6 employees total with 1 to 2 employees on site at the same time. They will have limited outdoor use, mainly for unloading deliveries. There will be no on-site customer service here. They are going to provide for 12 parking spaces. And then the delivery will be normal operations as they have for across the street. The site plan will show you the proposed location, as this is a preliminary site plan for consideration. The facility will be serviced by extension of public sanitary sewer from the existing utility operation. This is something they have worked out with Greenwood Sanitation. So this report, this is just to focus on the land use. This property, along with other properties around the area, have several development hurdles that they will need to address during site plan review process if this use is approved. This property is located in the floodplain fringe, which permits development under specific regulatory conditions. Unlike the floodway that is constrained on the other side of the road where there's no development, there is some development on the side, but we have development regulatory conditions. They would need to adhere to the strict local and state requirements. And they would also have to address the compensation storage of fill for flood protection grade for any new structures with the drainage board. This development also is encumbered by a transmission line restriction crossing the property. The petitioner is aware that this use variance is the first step of the approval process, allowing them to, if they seek approval, then they will work on each individual development hurdles. These challenges should not bear any consideration on the use variance as right now, because they would have, those hurdles have to be addressed individually. What I'm saying is your approval of the use variance will not put weight on their approval for flood development and transmission. Like they can't go to the transmission line and say, well, we got zoning approval, so you should allow us to do this. While these constraints do present significant development hurdles, it is an essential nature of the proposed use to be prioritized. Utility service, this utility provides services for the White River Township, Bargersville, and a portion of Greenwood. It is a critical infrastructure project designed to replace an aging plant and to improve service reliability and accommodate future growth. Right now, as we typically handle use variances, we do not have any development standard variances that we are currently discussing. Again, they are trying to first get the first hurdle of the use before they focus on the detail of the development. That could involve landscaping, parking, building, setbacks and all that. So we're not going to discuss any of those right now. They might have to come back for some development standards if they cannot satisfy those. But again, we'll discuss those if they cannot satisfy all those requirements when they get to the site plan review. And then staff has presented findings of facts. The proposed use will not be injurious to public safety, moral, and general welfare of the community. The proposed use is essential to municipal services that directly support the public health and safety of the community by ensuring delivery of clean and reliable drinking water. Replacing an aging, outdated facility with modernized technology will allow the current safety standards and better technology and more efficient operations. The use and the value of the area adjacent, including the variance, will, I apologize, my findings of facts are not completely written correctly, but will not affect the substantial adversely manner. The uniquely situated directly adjacent to the existing critical water infrastructure, including the high capacity storage tanks and established wellhead that must remain in the current location to function. Furthermore, the parent utility site across the street serve as a restriction by the regulatory floodway that prevents them from building a new building on that site. The need arises from some conditions peculiar to the property. Again, they need to improve their facility, and the property across the street is not viable. Also, a utility plant is not a listed permitted use in the UDO, so therefore it is a use variance that is needed for majority of our zoning districts. The unnecessary hardship, utility is a utility treatment facility is a permitted, is not a listed permitted or special exception, so use variance is required regardless of the location chosen. The approval does not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. As a comprehensive plan does recommend several situations of improving and increasing our public utility infrastructure to enhance development in the area. Any questions?
Michelle, I have one. What is the zoning consistent on the other side of the road?
It is SR, yes.
Pardon?
The property across the street that they're currently at is also SR, single family residential.
Does anyone have any further questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll move on. The petitioner has 15 minutes to present his case and answer questions and provide time for anyone else who wants to support the petition.
Then any remonstrators have cumulatively 20 minutes together to place their case against this petition, and then the petitioner has 5 minutes for rebuttal. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this petition must stand and take the oath of a witness.
We'll administer the oath now, so please stand. Only opportunity to be sworn in. Okay, raise your right hands. Swear or affirm under penalty of perjury, testimony about gives the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay, when you go to the podium, state your first and last name and your address, please.
My name is Mark Krensky, with Strand Associates, representing on behalf of the town of Bargersville. My address is 3282 Beach Drive, Columbus, Indiana, 47203. Just wanted to give you all a little bit more context on the project. In addition to Michelle and her staff's report, just to kind of give you a feel for where we're at. Like she mentioned, the site plan that was prepared is a preliminary site plan that we've been working on with the town of Bargersville. We've been contracted with them to assist them with preliminary planning and design for this potential project. A lot of that is geared towards helping them understand the cost that they would incur for the treatment plant itself. So a lot of the work that we've done has been on the processes that would need to be included in the treatment facility and understanding the relative cost, but at the same time, looking into some of the other feasibility components of the project. And in doing so, we identified the need for this variance of use from your board for the use of the drinking water facility. And so at this time, we were looking to request approval for that variance prior to proceeding forward in the project, just to be good stewards of the town's resources before proceeding into full design of the treatment plant. So just to give a little context for why we're here now, and we don't have a list of development standards variances that we're applying for. We intend to proceed if we are granted this variance into the design phase in more detail this year and likely extending into 2027 for the final design of the treatment facility. And as we work through the details of that, we'll be addressing all of the development standards and regulatory potential hurdles that Michelle pointed out. And as we intend to comply with the ordinance, and if there are any things that require development standards variances, we would apply for those at that time. Also, I'd just say, we want to work with the county to ensure that this proposed project is consistent with the long-term plans. Like Michelle mentioned, this facility provides an essential service, drinking water supply to the surrounding area. And we believe that supports the long-range planning efforts of the county for the growth that is already happening and it continues to happen in the area. We are willing to, work with adjoining neighbors to be good neighbors, as well as just a good partner in this process going forward. We believe that moving forward with this project is consistent with the use across the street that is mentioned. The existing use across the street is an old drinking water treatment plant. As part of this project, we intend to demolish some of those aging buildings. And so we believe, from an aesthetic standpoint, the finished product will be better than the existing conditions. And that's really, in general, our summary. Again, happy to answer questions if you all have any for us, as well as address any other people's comments. Thanks.
Any questions for the petitioner?
I guess one may not deal exactly, but Bargersville worries me about keeping up because of all the growing and so forth. So are you looking way ahead of the future of what's coming down the pack with all this growing and so forth?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can do. Yeah, essentially, you know, when we're going into a project like this, we're projecting out growth based on, you know, population increase and development that's happened over recent time. And this project would allow us to serve the area for 20 years and beyond. And then offers the ability to tweak things over time to expand and serve development as it comes in the area. So that's one of the needs for the project is to allow for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions for the petitioner? Do your other two fellows with you want to speak for anything?
I don't think so at this time. You know, Ryan Makis, who's here from Strand Associates as well. He is the project manager leading the design of the treatment processes itself. And then Kevin Credit is here on behalf of Town of Barkersville. If there's items from others that require their expertise, then they'll speak at that time.
Any more questions for the petitioner? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Don't believe anybody was sworn in to remonstrate.
There was one
There's
person.
Okay, well, it's time for the remonstrators then. The remonstrators have 20 minutes to speak, and then the petitioner has 5 minutes for rebuttal. So when you're ready, come to the podium and state your name and address, and we'll keep moving.
My name is Caleb Harbert. I am 5703 West Smith Valley Road, Greenwood, Indiana 46142. When you're looking at it, I am the 12 acres here. I'm actually not here standing against or necessarily for. I'm actually kind of here for more consistency of this body and Michelle and others. So that 12 acres, I applied for a variance to run my company. It was a construction and lawn landscape company out of, and we proposed putting pole barns in the back of it. And I was told, how dare I do something so industrial on my land, because like that's not what that area is for. This is going to be the main corridor into Center Grove, into Greenwood, and we really, really cared about the looks. That was 3 years ago. I brought up the water treatment plant, talking to my neighbor to buy them. I was told there was no chance that this was going to get approved. And now we're in this meeting, and the county is now for it, which is interesting because all 3 commissioners told me absolutely not. It's very interesting. The other part that I am nervous about this meeting is there's 2 major landholders not here. I forget the name of one, but Bob Pointer, it's Center Grove's spring break, and he's out of country. He didn't get the notice until about 2 weeks ago, which is beyond, and it wasn't your guys' fault. We know that part. But I do think someone who owns about 30, 40 acres of the major development should be here and be able to like hear everything and everything else. Again, I don't know if I think he's like me, not necessarily for it, not necessarily against it, because we know progress needs to happen. We know development needs to come in. We actually know water is very needed, and we're actually pretty for that. I don't know if we're all necessarily for it being right on Smith Valley Road and not further back down Stone Road somewhere, such as Roland or Peanuts property in the future. But again, not necessarily for it, not necessarily against it. I think progress has to happen. But the one thing I'm actually pretty upset about is I was told 3 years ago, before I spent over $1 million to relocate my company elsewhere, that there was no chance. How dare I want to do something so industrial and everything else? And now $1 million later, what I had said was going to happen is happening, which bothers me. I'm born and raised in Center Grove, born and raised in this area. I tried to locate my company of 30 employees to our area, and I was told, how dare I? How dare I keep the taxes in our county? How dare I keep employment in our county? And I had to move to Marion County. And now, somehow the county's for it. This actually really bothers me from a taxpayer perspective, and really bothers me from, a future outlook perspective. But again, I'm not necessarily against, not super for it because it's kind of an ugly building, but in reality, like not gonna stand against it. But I'm after this body because I was told no. I'm after this body because at the time I was the largest landholder on the south side of Smith Valley, and I was told no. So I would like consistency. If this is passed, I plan to come forward with a variance for my own company again. And it's not nearly as industrial as a water treatment plant. And I would like the consideration of this body to actually let progress come through then if we actually approve something like this, because this is outrageous to me. And I'm more actually upset with you guys. I'm actually pretty pumped. Progress is progress. We need it. But I am angry that we cost the county over $1 million of my investment from our area. That is a lot of money to me. It should be a lot of money to you guys. So I want that noted, but also Bob Pointer owns 30, 40 acres. He can't be here because he's on spring break. He also didn't get the notice until about 2 weeks ago, which is way outside of the bounds. We're supposed to get it like 30 days in advance. So want that noted. Again, not standing against it, not standing for it. Actually, I'd actually say I'm more somewhat for it than against. But like, I just want consistency from this body, and I'd like consistency from Michelle and others. Because I'm actually pretty outraged by this. And the fact somehow the county's not against it. When they were against me bringing my small business to our community rather than Marion County. But that's it. Just wanted to register it and have it on file. So then when this passes, I can hopefully move my businesses to our area as well. Thanks.
Any questions for the remonstrator? Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Not necessarily in direct response to the commentary, but just to state from on behalf of our proposed project, I think we filed our application following the procedures outlined by the county and followed through with all the public notices. So just kind of addressing that comment as timely as we were given information to send notices out. And then when we had undeliverables, we sent them back out following that. And then also just with respect to building type, as we've been looking at preliminary design for this project, again, we're at a pretty preliminary level, but our intent would be to have not to speak specifically to the remonstrators situation, but this specific proposed building would not be a metal sided building. It would have a different type of facade, and it would intended to be a flat roof building. And again, we look to seek to follow the requirements of the ordinance moving forward with regard to the building.
Any further questions for the petitioner? Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I just address something that was brought up?
Yes.
Bob Pointer did contact me on March 3rd about receiving that notice, not receiving personally in the notice in the mail, because March 3rd would have been, the notice had just been placed in the mail. There was a delivery issue, but Bob Pointer did receive a copy of the notice on March 3rd. He did ask me about potential continuance. I had sent him an email about a copy of the legal notice and information that he can file an automatic continuance if he felt that he needed to be here for the meeting. And I gave him instructions and deadlines on when he needed to file. He did not reach out to me after that.
Any further questions for staff? Any thoughts? Uh, to the remonstrator, I understand your frustration there. However, I kind of see a difference between a utility and a business moving in. A utility seems to me like it's a necessary evil, and we are supposed to look at each case individually. We're not, precedence is not something that the Board of Zoning Appeals is necessarily binded to. I mean, we try to remain somewhat consistent on it, but each case is supposed to be taken in its own merit. Does anybody have a motion they'd like to make or direction they'd like to go? More discussion? I have a question for the petitioner. How much of the existing site will be demolished?
The intent would be to demolish the primary structure there in the middle. So the building and then the adjacent like regular building area there, but the tanks off the road and the one to the west would remain as part of the
As part of the new installation?
as being utilized as part of the processes for the plant.
Where are the wells?
My name is Ryan Makis with Strand Associates. I live at 3213 Brookdale Drive, Columbus, Indiana, 47203. They have a existing well. Oh, I'm trying to recall if it's in this vicinity, and then they've got the additional infrastructure that would be planned to be removed the fourth of the creek as well. And then the rest of the wells for the treatment facility are to the west, closer to the White River. And all of the infrastructure that they currently have, raw water main wise, bringing all the water over, is all coming to that plant. And then all the finished water transmission mains are currently leaving that plant and going off into the system. So as far as the well on site,
You're saying that it's coming from the White River bottom?
Most of the wells are there. They do have one well that exists within the property right now, not near the road or anything, but it's off the.
Are there going to be new wells on the south side?
As of right now, the plan is that we would not put any wells to the south. We feel that there is sufficient water capacity right now at their existing wells that they currently have. So there is no plan to put a well in on site.
Okay. But basically, you guys are going to be operating these in tandem somewhat. I mean, facilities on both sides of the road.
Right, so the facilities on both sides, the buildings, all the buildings would basically be gone from the north side of the road. So what would be left is the water storage facilities off, and then that would be maybe occasionally they need to get over there. The other piece of infrastructure that we would plan to leave over there is a bulk water loading station. It would probably be, they currently have one. We would make it nicer with this project, but we'd want to keep it on that side of the road so that the majority of the traffic that the plant does see right now is because of people coming to purchase water. We don't want to bring that traffic to the south side of the road and start loading Stone Road more with traffic for that. So the plan would be try to keep that away from the actual rest of the development, but then squeeze the bulk water loading station more in closer to the tanks and get them off the road a little bit.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Any further questions? Okay. Well, since no one's gonna offer up a motion, I'll move to approve V-2-26. And I would like to, we might as well use the petitioner's findings of facts. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Canary seconds.
Mr. Myers.
Pardon? Oh, it's Mr. Meyer. Oh, sorry. Okay, Mr. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Canary,
Yes.
Mr. Meyer,
Yes.
Mr. Kaler,
Yes.
and I vote yes. V-2-26 passes. We have no further petitions, no old business, no new business, no reports or recommendations. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn if that's okay with you, Michelle.
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Kaler moved to adjourn and Mr. Canary seconded, in my opinion. So all those favors adjourn it, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We're adjourned.